welcome to Global Online University. Friends, in this video we are going to discuss about public revenue. This is lecture number 4 on public economics. So before moving to our lecture, I would like to inform you about our NET SET Economics 2022 course. In this course you will get full syllabus theory lectures, and you will also get test series, and you will also get PDFs on all the units. Then you will get notes on all the 10 units. And if you want to join this course, you can contact our Global Online University app from Play Store, and I can Hello friends, welcome to Global Online University. Friends, this is our lecture number 4 on public economics. So before moving to our topic, once again I would like to inform you about our NET SET Economics course. In this course you will get full syllabus theory lectures, full syllabus MCQ lectures and MCQ PDF you will get, and you are also going to get notes on all the 10 units, and you will also get test series on all the units. So as you all know, there are 10 units are there for economics. So you'll get a whole syllabus theory lectures plus MCQ lectures plus notes on all the units. So if you want to join this course, you can contact this number, and you can download Global Online University app from Play Store, and you can join our course. So let us move to the today's topic. In today's session we are going to discuss about public revenue. So as you all know, public revenue means it is the income earned by the government from various sources, and as you all know, there are various sources are available for government to earn income. Some major sources are taxes. As you all know, tax is the major source. Then income from the currency market, borrowings, sale of public assets, income from public undertakings, fees, fine, gift, donations. Yes, these are the various sources of public revenue. So let us see what do we mean by tax. Yes, sometimes, especially in KSET and MSET, we may get questions on these basic terms. Tax means, we know tax means it is the compulsory payment made by the citizens to the government. Yes, without expecting any direct benefit from the government. Yes, whenever the government is going to impose tax on us, we have to pay it without expecting any direct benefit. However, we are going to get the benefit indirectly, but we cannot expect direct benefit from the government by for paying the tax. So in this way, let us see what we mean by tax base. Yes, the base of tax. Sometime we may get question on this topic in set. So the base of tax, it is the legal description of the object with reference to which the tax applies. Yes, for example, as you all know, when the government is going to impose income tax, yes, this income tax is imposed on the income. So this income level is known as the base of the tax. It means that on which object the tax is going to apply, that is known as the base of the tax. Yes, for example, excise duty. Yes, excise duty, it is imposed on production of goods and services. So here in case of excise duty, what is the base of the tax? Production of goods. So in this way, in case of income tax, the base is income. So in this way, it is a legal description of the object with reference to which tax is applied, on what basis the government is going to apply the tax, that is known as the base of tax. So the next term is buoyancy of tax, or it is also known as the tax buoyancy. Yes, if a tax revenue, as you all know, when tax increases, government revenue will also increase, and when tax rate decreases, government revenue may decrease. So if a tax revenue increases with the growth of its base but without an extension of the coverage or an upward revision of the tax rate, then it is said to be tax buoyant. Yes, tax buoyant means here the government revenue is going to increase. And why the revenue is increasing? The government here, because of the growth of the tax base. Yes, as I said, you income tax, it is imposed on the income of the people. So if the income of the people increases, then tax amount paid by the people will also increase. So the government revenue is going to increase. So and here the government will not increase the tax rate without increasing the tax rate. If the tax base increases, then government revenue will also increase. So this is known, then the tax is said to be buoyant. So this is known as the tax buoyancy. And there is a formula to find out the tax buoyancy, that is buoyancy of a tax is measured as a ratio of the proportionate increase in tax revenue to proportionate increase in the tax base. So increase in the tax revenue divided by increase in the tax base. So in this way, when tax base is going to increase, so tax revenue will also increase. This is known as the tax buoyancy. So here the buoyancy of a tax is measured. It is the ratio of the increase in tax revenue to increase in the tax base. So the next term is elasticity of tax. So the yield of a tax may also go up on account of extension of its coverage or revision of its rates. When tax rate is going to increase, yes, if the government is going to increase the tax rate, then the tax revenue will also increase. So this is known as the elasticity of tax. So and also there is a formula, the elasticity of a tax would be measured by as a ratio of change in its yield to the proportionate change in the tax rate. So tax revenue divided by tax rate. So it is the ratio of increase in tax revenue to increase in the tax rate is known as the elasticity of tax. So these terms you have to remember. So the next one is principles of taxation. So there are various principles are there while paying the tax, and please remember there are four important theories are there which are given by Adam Smith. Yes, a question has arisen on this topic in previous set examination. So canon of equity, canon of certainty, canon of convenience, canon of economy. Yes, these four principles of taxation are given by Adam Smith. Please remember, principle of equity, principle of certainty, principle of convenience, principle of economy. These four taxes are given by Adam Smith. So the next one is there are also some other principles are there. One is principle of productivity, principle of elasticity, principle of diversity, principle of simplicity, and principle of coordination. Yes, these theories are given by Bastable. Yes, please remember these two economists' name. So next, let us see some approaches to the division of tax burden. Yes, when the government is going to impose the tax, there are certain approaches are there. So the government may go through these approaches. So let us see some approaches related to the distribution of tax burden. So here the first one is financial approaches. There are various approaches are there. The first one is financial approach. Yes, in financial approach, obtaining maximum amount of revenue from the people. It means here the government is going to put more tax in financial approach, and it is going to collect more revenue from the people. And here there is no proper distribution of burden of taxation. Yes, here poor people may pay high tax, rich people may pay low tax. So there is no proper distribution of burden of the tax, and burden of tax may fall mainly on poor people. Yes, here the main aim of the government is to collect more revenue from the people. So here there is no proper distribution of taxation, and the burden of tax may fall on poor people. So this is about financial approach. And the second approach is cost of service approach. Yes, here cost of service approach means base of taxation is the cost incurred by the government on different services for the benefit of the individual taxpayers. Yes, it means that here when the government is going to spend money on different programs for such as roads, dams, and also here how much the government is going to spend on each individual, that must equal to the tax amount. It means that tax amount is equal to cost of service provided by the government, but it is very difficult to calculate. So according to cost of service approach, here cost incurred by the government on different services of the benefit of the individual taxpayer. This is the base of tax here. Yes, base means we have studied. So on this base, what is the base here? Cost of service. Yes, how much cost the government is going to spend on each individual, on that basis the tax is going to imposed here. So according to cost of service approach, the tax amount or tax rate is equal to cost of this service. So here higher the cost, higher the tax rate, and lower the cost, lower the tax rate. Yes, if the government is going to spend more income on the individuals, then the tax rate will be high. If the government expenditure is less, then automatically tax rate will also be less. So there are limitations are there for cost service approach. The first one is difficult to estimate the cost of service for every individual. Yes, it is quite impossible to measure correctly the cost of service for every individual. So when government spends, it spends collectively. For example, when the government is going to give scholarship, it doesn't give to a single, it doesn't consider only one individual, it consider the group of students. So it is very difficult to calculate. In some cases it is very difficult to calculate it in case of each individual. And a tax is a compulsory payment. Yes, as we all know, tax, it is a compulsory payment without expecting any direct benefit. But this approach, cost of service approach, it is saying that the payment of a tax, it is in return of the cost of service. This is not correct in case of tax. So the next theory is the benefit theory. Yes, let us see the benefit principle. It is also known as the benefit principle. And benefit principle, it was initially developed by Knut Wicksell and Professor Lindahl. Yes, first it is developed by Knut Wicksell in 1896, then later by Professor Lindahl in 1919. Yes, according to this benefit theory, the burden of taxation should be distributed among people in proportion to the benefit received from the state. So here also the base is cost of service approach only. So here that tax is going to distribute on the base of benefit received from the state. So if the government is if the people are getting more benefit from the government, then tax rate will be high. If the people are getting less benefits from the government, then tax will be less. So here if people are getting equal benefit, equal amount of tax, and greater benefits, more amount of tax. It means that here rich will pay more tax, poor may pay less tax. Yes, it means the people who are getting more benefits from the government, they have to pay more tax. The people who are receiving less amount of less benefits from the government, they have to pay less amount of tax. So then next approach is ability to pay approach, and this ability to pay approach was given by Seligman. And here the contribution was made by E.C. Pigou, Edgeworth, and also Calder. So here ability to pay approach, individual relative share in total tax burden, he is to be determined by his relative paying capacity. Yes, here the base is paying capacity of the person. So here the tax is going to be distributed on the basis of paying capacity of the each individual. Yes, those who have more income can afford to pay more taxes. Those who have less income, they can pay less tax, because if the income level of the consumer is more, if the income level of the people is more, then they can pay more tax. If the income is less, they can pay less tax. So here the base is paying capacity, and taxes are charged according to ability to pay. Yes, if I am able to pay more tax, I can pay more tax. If my income is less, I will pay less tax. And here the marginal utility of rich people are low, and they have higher capacity to pay. Yes, because here rich people, they are having, their income will be more, so they are having higher capacity to pay the tax, so their marginal utility will be low. Because marginal utility low means when they pay more tax, their marginal utility will be, the sacrifice utility will be less, so marginal utility is low here. But for poor people, the marginal utility will be high. It means when they pay tax to the government, yes, they have to sacrifice more. Yes, they have to lose the utility. So the this is related to with progressive taxation system. Yes, ability to pay approach is related to progressive tax system. And the next one is horizontal equity and vertical equity. These two are related to ability to pay approach. And let us see what we mean by horizontal equity. Yes, this tax equity principle states that people with the same ability to pay taxes should pay the same amount of taxes. Yes, the same level of income people can pay same amount of tax. This is known as the horizontal equity. It means that equal treatment is given to the similar income group. Yes, if equal treatment is given to the similar income group, it is known as the horizontal equity. I hope you got it. It means the people whose income is same, they have to pay. For example, if you take 10 groups of people, 10 group of people, their income level is same, then they all have to pay same amount of tax. Then vertical equity means this tax equity principle states that people with a different ability to pay taxes should pay a different amount of tax. It means if people are rich, they have to pay more tax. If people are poor, they have to pay less tax. Here different ability to pay, so tax amount will be deeper. Tax amount is going to changes. So next, unequal treatment to unequal income group. So here unequal treatment to unequal income group. Yes, and here non-equal are treated equally. So this you have to remember. In horizontal equity, equal treatment to similar income group, and in vertical, non-equal are treated equally here. So the next one is 4 factors which are going to influence the taxes are income, property, consumption expenditure, size of the family. Yes, these are the 4 factors which are going to influence the taxes. So let us see next. There are 3 sacrifice principles are there. First one is equal absolute sacrifice. Second one is equal proportional sacrifice. Third one is equal marginal sacrifice. Yes friends, let us discuss. The first one is equal absolute sacrifice. It is going to state that different taxpayers sacrifice same amount of utility. Yes, many times questions will arise on this topic, so you have to remember. In case of equal absolute sacrifice, here taxpayers sacrifice same amount of utility. Yes, this is known as the equal absolute sacrifice. And here total loss of utility or total sacrifice of all the taxpayers should be same. It means that all the people are going to sacrifice same amount of utility. All people are paying yes, here all the people are going to sacrifice the same level of utility. And here difference between the aggregate utility from income before tax and the utility of income after the tax is same for all the taxpayer. It means margin loss of utility for all the taxpayers is same here. So the formula will be u into y minus u into y minus t. U into y after paying the tax, u into y minus t before paying the tax. So this formula you must remember here. So the next equal proportional sacrifice, and here each taxpayer, yes, the next one is equal proportional sacrifice. Here each taxpayer sacrifice the same percentage of total satisfaction. Just remember the difference between equal absolute sacrifice and equal proportional sacrifice. Here in case of equal proportional sacrifice, here each taxpayer is going to sacrifice same percentage of the total satisfaction. So here loss of utility as a result of tax should be proportional to the total income of the taxpayer. Yes, here we are going to consider percentage of the total utility. Yes, here the percentage of total satisfaction or percentage of utility is same for all the taxpayers. And higher income people pay more tax than those who have lower income. But the ratio of sacrifice is same here. This you have to remember. Here high income people will pay high tax, low income people will pay low tax, but the ratio for rich and poor is same here. So here the formula is u into y minus u into y minus t divided by u into y. So this formula you have to remember. Many times question will arise on this. So the third one is equal marginal sacrifice. So in case of equal marginal sacrifice, the marginal utility of income left after tax with any taxpayer is same here. So here we are going to consider marginal utility of income that is left after tax with any taxpayer is same here. And here total sacrifice of all taxpayers should be lowest. It means total sacrifice, total loss of utility should be minimum. And marginal sacrifice for all the taxpayers should be same. Yes, this you have to remember. In case of equal marginal sacrifice or loss of marginal utility for all the taxpayers is same, but total sacrifice will be minimum. And here the formula you have to remember, u into y minus t divided by y minus t. So this you have to remember. So friends, in these video lectures we are going to discuss the whole entire syllabus in very short form. Yes, how much knowledge is required for our examination, in that way we are going to cover. So if you are having any suggestions, you can comment us in the comment box. So and this picture will give you clear idea. Here nature of the tax structure, burden of taxation on higher income people and lower income people. In case of equal absolute sacrifice, yes, in equal absolute sacrifice is known as the less progressive. Why? Because here higher income people will pay low tax, but poor people will pay higher tax. So this is known as the less progressive. And when it comes to equal proportional sacrifice, in this it is known as the more progressive than absolute equal sacrifice. Yes, equal proportional sacrifice is known as it is more progressive than equal absolute sacrifice. Here higher income people will pay higher tax and lower income people will pay lower tax, but the ratio for both is same here, percentage is same. Then when it comes to equal marginal sacrifice, this is highly progressive tax system, and here high income people will pay higher tax and low income people will pay low tax, and here marginal utility is after the tax is same for all the taxpayers. So then let us see one more concept, that is Laffer curve. Yes, the Laffer curve, it is also theory related to public revenue, and it is given by Arthur Laffer. Yes, the Laffer curve, it is given by Arthur Laffer, and this show the relationship between tax rate and tax revenue of the government. So Laffer curve is going to show the relationship between tax rate and tax revenue. And taxable income change with change in tax. Yes, this is true. When tax rates are going to change, automatically tax revenue will also change. And 0% tax, it means zero revenue to the government. And also remember 100% of tax, then also zero revenue to the government. Why? Because at 100% rate of tax, no people will work, they are discouraged to work, so revenue for the government is also zero. So remember, at 0% of tax and on 100% of tax, the tax revenue will be zero to the government. And according to Laffer curve, sometimes cutting tax rate can result in increased total tax revenue because of increase in the base of the tax. So if taxes are too high along the Laffer curve, then they will discourage the taxed activities such as work and investment enough to actually reduce total tax revenue. In this case, cutting tax rate will both stimulate economic incentives and also increase in tax revenue. So it means that if taxes are too high, and then the people may not work, they may not invest in economic activities, then tax revenue will decrease. In this case, if the government is going to decrease the tax rate, again it will boost the economic activities and tax revenue will also increase. And as I explained, at 0% of tax rate, tax revenue will be zero. Yes, has tax rate increased from low levels, tax revenue collected by the government will also increase. Yes, if tax rates are going to increase from zero, yes, increase from zero, then tax revenue will also increases. And eventually if tax rate reaches 100%, then also people are not interested to work more and produce more and sell more and to pay all the income to the in the form of tax to the government, then will be income will be zero to the government. So in this condition, cutting in the tax rate will also help the government to increase the tax revenue. So this is known as the Laffer curve. Here you can see on x-axis we have taken tax rate, on y-axis we have taken tax revenue. So this is known, this curve is known as the Laffer curve. So here initially if the tax rate is zero, the tax revenue is also zero, and when tax rates are going to increase, tax revenue will also increase. So in this way, this region is known as the region of increasing revenue, because with increase in tax rate, tax revenue is also going to increase here, and this is the maximum point of tax rate. Yes, after this point, yes, this is the maximum point, revenue maximizing point. At this point the government is going to earn maximum revenue from the tax. Yes, after this point if the government continuously increasing the tax, what will happen? People are not interest to work in economic activities, so tax revenue goes on decreasing. In this way, if the government is putting 100% of tax, then the government revenue will be zero. And in this case, if the government start decreasing the tax rate, then it will help to increase in the tax revenue. So this is about Laffer curve. Yes, I wish all the best to all, and I am trying to complete the entire syllabus in very less time. So how much knowledge is required for our examination, so I am going to discuss. If you are having any suggestions, you can comment in the comment box, or also you can contact us on, you can download our Global Online University app from Play Store, and you can also comment in the comment box, or also you can contact this number 9743 105 335. So you can send a WhatsApp message to this number, we will respond you. Thank you.